All right,
I can
we
always,
are
yeah.
preparing. Sorry.
Just let Pinky keep talking. We'll just all just sit here and pretend
Yeah.
like we didn't even start the stream up.
I was just gonna say I can always
I'll
tell
read
how
my
busy I am
emails. Yeah, it'll be
by the way
great.
my desk looks. It's got like I got empty pop cans and empty water bottles and a stack of empty nicotine pouch containers.
We
So
are live, guys.
Yeah.
there we go.
I
That's
uh
fine.
I
Make
cannot
make
see
the
your
moment.
desk actually. That's not how cameras work. I'm not
I
in your
know. I know.
office right now, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was gonna say. I mean, even if we are live, I'm sure everybody's okay with me talking about my messy desk right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
nobody's gonna be offended by that.
I'm
If they are, they're on the wrong stream, man.
yeah.
They're not busy enough. That's what it is. Get
Yeah.
busier.
The key to a clean workspace is to make sure that everything that the camera sees is clean.
In fact,
Yep.
it's the blur right
Absolutely.
now because behind me
Yeah.
is a disaster too.
Behind me is these. I mean, I do have a random stack of metal cards here, I guess, that are in view. But
Ah.
yeah, that's my mess that you can see. I feel like Oscar, you're a pretty clean desk guy, though, for the most part. I feel like,
I'm pretty clean. I
yeah,
got a couple coffee cups here right now, a deck of cards, some readers because I do have to wear readers occasionally now.
yeah,
But if my desk gets cluttered, it really kind of annoys me, so I try to keep it clean.
good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sentiment
I
I
don't
don't share.
I don't know how or why. It's like I'm very unorganized in most aspects of,
Yeah,
my life, but my desk I try to keep clean.
I do
My
clean it up
closet,
every week or so, but yeah,
yeah. My closet was an absolute nightmare for the longest time, but then Erica, my wife for Christmas got me like some shelves and a storage system for my closet and organized my closet for me, and it's been a game changer. And so because she took that step, I've been doing a really good job now of keeping it organized. But yeah, I just couldn't do it on my own, man.
yeah. Clean desk policy must not be high on the priority list. I mean, it's high enough, but my home desk is gonna be it's gonna have some stuff on it throughout the day. I live here. This is my
Yeah.
home away from home inside my home.
And I've got my notepad here. I write all my passwords in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, what else would you do? Password managers can be breached, man. You're supposed to keep that. You're supposed to keep a cold storage of those passwords, I'm told.
Yeah, right.
Keep them written down on the desk.
Post-it notes all over my monitor. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. The camera can't see that direction, right? You're good.
That's
You're
right.
good.
All right, all right. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Hackle Box. Uh, I'm your host today, Oscar. Then we got the wonderful Pinky and always excellent Eric. How you guys doing today?
Excellent, Eric. I like that. I'm doing
Yeah, I
better
just thought of
now.
that. It was good, wasn't
Man, you're a genius.
it? I've been pretty good with the nicknames lately. We had the Hammer last week. This week, I think
Yeah.
Excellent Eric. That's got to stick, man. You are excellent, and you're Eric.
Excellent,
So,
Eric.
Yeah.
Works. It works. Yeah.
yeah, what you guys
No,
been up
dude.
to?
I mean, living in my shed, doing a lot of work right now. So hence the mess. But yeah, it's busy times.
Pink. Yeah, you're busy, man. You're busy, right?
Yeah.
How many cases do we have open right now?
We've got nine active because we did close one out yesterday. But yeah, nine active and a whole bunch of project work going on. So, you know, it's for this time of year that's really busy. So,
Hmm.
usually this is a little bit of a dead time for us. So we'll
Are you
see. Let's maybe
guys seeing any patterns or all over the place?
no, yeah, it's all over the place. I mean, it's as always, generally more BECs than anything else. Um, but I mean, really though, that's kind of new. Even the last few months, we've had a little bit of a flip where we've been more internal compromise than BECs.
Hmm.
So it's kind of evening out a little bit more now. But yeah, just still sort of all over the place, same stuff we've been seeing. Still plenty of the token theft attacks and things like that going on.
Hmm.
Um, we have more recently seen one of those that progressed into an internal compromise, which is a little bit new. Usually the
Hmm.
token theft email attacks, they sort of stick in that realm, but yeah, we're investigating an interesting one on that front right now. So
Hmm.
may have some more tips on that next month because we're not too deep into it. But
Sure.
yeah.
Cool, cool. Eric, what's going on in your world, man? Hey, I think this is the first episode we've had since Eric got a promotion. So we got to congratulate Eric. He is
Oh
now
yeah.
the vice president of operations here. Woo
Yeah.
woo.
Wee. And on that note, what I've been up to is working.
Doing vice president stuff, right?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
vice presidenting around, just doing what you do.
Still got a bunch of
Heck yeah.
degenerates reporting to him, so
Yeah, I've been
that causes
watching
some
lots of
problems.
episodes of Veep, just trying to learn how to do it right. So I think I've got it down,
You're getting it for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm
Fast
getting
learner.
it.
Well, heck yeah. Thanks everybody for joining us. It is my favorite holiday of the year is upon us. I just gotta plug that. It's March Madness. March Madness, baby. It's championship week. I love it. Um, my cats are playing right now, so please, anybody in the chat, do not throw a spoiler in because I'm not watching it. I'm watching it on delay after I finish work today. If you do, we're gonna boot you and you're probably not gonna be allowed back in. All right.
That's
So
a
let's not
fact.
do that. Yeah.
So if I want to get out of this whole Hackle Box thing right now, I just got to talk about the game. That's good to know.
Yeah, we'll just kick
I
your
mean,
ass out.
Yeah. And your favorite holiday coming up means my favorite holiday is almost coming up, which is for my birthday, getting to listen to everyone be upset about how March Madness went. That's always my favorite time of the year. It's just like, that's my birthday gift, is everybody complaining about March Madness. So
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eric, is somewhat of a baller. He's pretty short though. He's only like 6'1", is that right? But
yeah.
Oh no. We're gonna do this again.
Oh, sorry, man.
Where
I
was
was
that
thinking about
story
that.
even going? Did you just want to talk about how short I was?
Nowhere at all. I was just thinking
Okay.
about it this morning, how we argued over height and it was
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
I never
Yeah.
argued about the height. I
It was
swear
me
to
and
God.
Seth. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was me and Seth. I can see
Just
that.
for everybody out there, this thing happened where Seth and Oscar started arguing about their heights and arguing with each other about how tall. They ended up having to get out of our Uber and go back to back, and I had to measure them and tell them who was taller. And this whole thing went down, and yet then like a week later or something like that, the story was I was arguing about height, and I had started, and I was like,
Yeah.
I was the one, man. I had no part in this argument thing. The only thing I did was misjudge how tall someone else was, which is what started the conversation. Anyway, they love to give me crap
Yeah.
now that I'm
Yeah.
short and I argued about height. And yeah.
I can confirm too. It was about a week later we all went to that conference together, and I remember we were walking around like, "Pinky, how tall are you?" It's like, well, with the boots or without the boots, But
Yeah.
yeah, so and then it started it all back up again. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
You get us all together, and we're inevitably going to turn into 12-year-olds again, and that's okay.
Yeah.
We have a good time. We have a really good
Yeah.
time.
That's true.
All right, we'll get rolling here. Real quick plug. Thanks, Brian, for the reminder. Brian just sent me a note here, but we do have the CSSP mentorship program coming up. So if you guys are interested in joining that, taking part of that, go check out the website. We got details on FRSecure.com. I encourage you to register. It's an awesome program. If you're aspiring to get your CISSP, we'll help you get across the line. And even if you're not, just thinking about doing it, it's a good way to test the waters and see if that's something that would interest you. So it's free. Free50.com. Check it out. It's a really good
Not at
resource.
free50.com. Don't go there. I don't know what's there.
Don't go there. Yeah, I don't know what's there either. It's FRSecure.com.
I gotta spin up a VM now and see what that is, but okay.
All right, so we'll dig into some news. Everybody heard there's obviously some conflict going on in the Middle East right now. And correlating to that, we've seen some stories pop up about Seedworm, which is an Iranian nation state APT. And this actually is a little interesting, or very interesting, because they've seen the activity since before the conflict actually started. So essentially, Seedworm has recently targeted several United States organizations. There was a bank, software company, an airport, some non-governmental services in the United States as well as Canada. The software company, it's I think important to note they are a supplier to the Department of Defense and aerospace industries, and they do have a presence in Israel as well. So it seems like this could likely be related. The activity began in February. This is kind of standard attack kill chain from what I've looked at, right? I think the one anomaly here is they are using a new custom backdoor called Dindor. It's JavaScript and TypeScript based. Don't see a lot of C2s operating utilizing JavaScript. I don't. Do you, Pink?
No, I mean we see a fair amount of droppers and like
Yeah.
loaders, things like that run in JavaScript, but not a whole lot on the C2 side. So that is
Hmm.
interesting, but you know,
I have heard about a
may
couple recently. I don't have names or anything like that, but I've heard about a couple that are kind of taking that route in the last month. I mean, I've heard about them. So,
Hmm.
um, I mean, whatever you can get to run on a system, but that's the
Yeah, I'm
reason you
sure.
don't generally use something like JavaScript. You can't generally get it to run, but nowadays everything you can get to run in some form or another. So,
Hmm. Yeah. I'm sure they're utilizing JavaScript. This is another opportunity to try to evade, like you're saying. It was interesting too. There was another backdoor found, another C2 called FakeSet, as part of some of these observations as well, which was actually Python based. Those were identified at United States Airport. I don't know which airport it was, and a nonprofit as well. But yeah, they believe the campaign is primarily cyber espionage. They're aligned with Iranian intelligence objectives. But it is concerning, right? Because these attackers have already established access to very sensitive networks before the conflict began. And this has got my brain wondering, where else are they today? And what type of response might we see in the days and weeks to come as this conflict continues?
yeah,
yeah,
I think that's what keeps me up at night a lot is honestly like where is someone just dwelling? You know what I mean? Like, let's be
Hmm.
honest, there's a lot of that going on, I think, at all times. So waiting for the right opportunity, and I hate when opportunities start arising to be damaging.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, we definitely agree. I mean, we see enough in investigations, and then also too, just kind of thinking about when we're investigating these attacks. It, you know, you used to be able to uh, nail things down a little bit by geographical regions, right? Like you shouldn't, this organization shouldn't see connections going out to Iran or something like that, right? But and still that's probably the case for Iran specifically. But we things are a lot more global, right? I mean, Microsoft, you'll watch Microsoft bounce off things in Brazil and the Netherlands and things like that. And so there's a lot of noise there. And so when we're trying to track it down from a network perspective, it gets a little more difficult. And so it does make me worry that there's things just out there that haven't been seen yet because they're, being pretty quiet. I mean, I will say the move to JavaScript and Python for C2s, I'm in favor of that because that's going to be easier for us to analyze and look at. But yeah, I have the same concerns. I mean, not just about
Hmm.
Iran, but a lot of potential state-sponsored type, threat actors that may just be lingering. So it is a concerning thing.
Yeah, absolutely not trying to fearmonger in any way, but I know we've talked about it before. If we look at our municipalities, our co-ops for, electricity, our water services, all those critical utilities, like we know they're lagging a little behind, right? They don't always have the budget needed. They don't really always have the capabilities needed to properly secure those systems. And so they've been kind of known as soft targets, right? And luckily, we haven't seen a lot of significant impact in that space. We've seen some, but those are the things that kind of make me a little, well, very concerned, right? Are we going to see action now? As we know, I think that warfare is completely different today than it was a decade ago and 20 years ago, and we haven't seen a lot of conflict result in impact on domestic soil. But it'll be very interesting to see if that trend changes as we progress through this conflict today. And I hope it doesn't change. But it is something I think we all need to keep an eye out for.
Yeah. I will say one two thing on this one too. I mean, like in general, um, these are pretty targeted attacks, right? So it's not like they're
Oh yeah.
just hitting everybody. But I will say if you're in a possibly targeted area, it does say that they're using ArcLone for this. Like Oscar mentioned, this is espionage related, so it's going to be mostly focused on exfil, right? So I wouldn't expect to see a ransomware encryption execution in this. Could happen, but I doubt it. So they do call out using rclone in this particular case, and I know we've talked about rclone now for years, but it's still really popular with attackers. And so, just in general, if you're not using rclone, you don't have a reason to use it, and most people don't. I would recommend just blocking it outright everywhere. I mean, if you have an exception, make that exception and be very specific with that exception. But it's pretty, it's pretty quiet in the sense of the way it exfiltrates data. It's slow and doesn't cause a lot of network spikes, things like that. So it's a tough one to deal with sometimes. But yeah, if you don't have a need for it, just block it. Now they may shift other tactics, but that's at least one that was called out for this
Hmm.
particular group, what they're doing.
Yeah, I think they were utilizing Wasabi storage too, or attempting to
Mhm.
utilize Wasabi storage. So again, if you're not using Wasabi, block outbound connections to Wasabi. Hey, how about we just block all outbound connections for your critical systems anyway, unless they're absolutely required.
It's
Yeah, that could
That's
work.
hard though.
it's hard. It's a good idea. It's a really good idea.
I mean, on the note of this kind of idea, one of the things that concerns me, I think, is that there's not enough focus in the industry or in the world in general where it's like we're looking for, proactively threat hunting and looking for things that might be there
Mhm.
already, right? I think, we're so used to just hearing the news of either like, hey, this was detected, someone was breached. It's like, well, how did they find that out? Oftentimes it's because something affected their environment or because something pretty noisy happened, right? Or we hear about like how much stuff was stopped at the perimeter or something like that, right? Like events flagging things and us knowing about them and responding to those, because of that. And it doesn't, I'm not saying it never happens, but it's far less often that you hear about like, hey, we found out about the breach while we were just like routinely looking through and looking,
Mhm.
doing some proactive threat hunting, and we found out we had someone just sitting there for a while. Um, and I get it. Like from a defensive point of view, a lot of times you're just trying to like, what are the things you're fighting the things you can see, and it's hard to like sit there and spend a bunch of time trying to fight something you can't see and might not be there. But I would love to see a shift in general as time goes on, especially in certain critical infrastructure and stuff like that, where this is a bigger focus for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, Pinky, if you want to, do you have any stories to tell about that? But like, I know we've been part of like some acquisitions, right? And where folks hire us to come in and do a threat hunt, and then we discover that that client is actually compromised, and there's evidence of previous compromise events that were significant, and those were never disclosed.
Yeah, yeah, we see that more frequently than I would like to.
Hmm.
Yeah, and really a lot of it is more on the previous incidents that we see. But if you didn't know about those incidents, right, you didn't clean them up properly, then who knows, right? There may still technically be an active compromise. But yeah, we certainly see it a lot in that sort of acquisition space. Um, yeah, proactive threat hunts. I will say it's funny though. I mean, it probably speaks a little bit to how people manage their security. A lot of times when we get people that are interested in just doing a proactive threat hunt in their environment, right? There's no real trigger for it. Just hey, we just want to threat hunt. Um, it's often pretty quiet, right? We don't generally see a whole lot, and so
Hmm.
that's good. But even taking that look, and sometimes we'll even find some stuff that's maybe not even threat related, but it could have been. And so we're calling it out, and there's like, oh yeah, that's an account that we meant to disable, 5 years ago or something like that. And
Yeah.
it's still trying to run some, logon script or something like that. And so it's a really good exercise. It could be a scary exercise, right? It's like, well, if I don't know about it, then it's not happening. But it's kind of like
Yeah.
going to the doctor. I hate going to the doctor, but at the same time, sometimes I know I gotta go, and they may tell
Yeah.
me something that I don't want to hear. But it is what it is. It's better to find out
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good call out for like that account that they thought they probably disabled 5 years ago, right? And we see the same thing. Like, as far as systems, like how often are you, working a case and you're investigating a particular system, and the client says, "Oh, we shut that down." Like, no,
Yeah,
you didn't.
no, we did not. Yeah, pretty often. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you hear it a lot in the pen testing side too. Obviously, we take advantage of something, exploit something, find something, and then invariably, it seems like on the calls at the end, someone's like, "Wait, didn't we get rid of that a year ago, or 2 years ago, or 6 years ago?"
Hmm.
Um, Accounts we've taken advantage of, like domain admin accounts that have been sitting around unused, unpassword changed for like 12 years, and then people are just like, "No, we don't use that anymore." I'm like, you don't use it, but you never disabled it, you never got rid of it, you never changed its password. Like, yeah,
You don't use it, but I use it, and that's
yeah,
fine.
Yeah,
that account
yeah.
is for
We're
me.
using
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Kind of like continuing along the context here of, I guess, of the political realm. I don't know if you guys seen, but Trump did release his statement for the cyber strategy for America last week. I don't really want to go into it in too detail, but I'll kind of hit the high points for you guys, and then there's one in particular I'd like to talk about really quick. Really, six pillars here. One is to shape adversary behavior. Two is to promote common sense regulation, and I want to come back to that. Number three is to modernize and secure federal networks. They called out zero trust here, which I thought was hilarious because there was an executive order in 2021 with a very clear timeline to implement full zero trust throughout government networks. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was like a 6 month timeline, and we all had a laugh about that. How there's no way that's going to be implemented in 6 months. And surprise, here we are 5 years later, and they're saying they're going to work on zero trust. So I guess that's good. Securing critical infrastructure, specifically calling out energy, financial, telco, data centers, water, and hospitals. Sustain superiority in critical and emerging technologies. A bunch of AI stuff. Hey, we're going to secure AI. That's pretty much what I read there. Build talent and capacity. So yeah, we're going to build a skilled cyber workforce. I would say at high level, the whole strategy is very ambiguous, right? There's not a lot of hard to find. These are things that we're going to do. There's no timelines associated with any of this. It just seems very high level, almost abstract thinking. But the one that really stuck out to me was point number two, to promote common sense regulation. And I want to call it a statement that was specifically documented in there. Cyber defense should not be reduced to a costly checklist that delays preparedness, action, and response. We will streamline cyber regulations to reduce compliance burdens, address liability, and better align regulators and industry globally. Now, I read this and I feel like it's foreshadowing to maybe things to come. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with
Yeah.
you on the whole, in general, it's pretty nebulous. I just dropped my phone. But it's one of those things where there's not a lot of content here, great ideas, I guess maybe at a high level, how do you implement them type of thing. Specifically on the promote common sense regulation part. I mean, it does seem like what worries me, without trying to make this political in any way, is just the general approach to just being like, yeah, we're just going to remove stuff. We're going to stop getting roadblocks in the way. Generally means that it's not thought very well, very highly through, right? It just seems like it's one of those things where just like, okay, that thing's a problem, get rid of it. And some of those problems are good things. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting too because there's almost a conflicting statement there in that same sentence, right? It's we're going to streamline cyber regulations, which again, I generally means we're going to cut some stuff. But then it also talks about aligning, regulators and industry globally, right? And we know that there are globally there are some much stricter regulations around cybersecurity. So it's kind of like which are you doing? Um, and so I honestly the statement kind of says nothing. It is really which generally feels like it's just a standard government statement to me. But because it's always just like we're going to do the thing and we're not going to do the thing at the same time. But yeah, it's interesting. But emphasizing the right to privacy for Americans and American data. Um, you know, are they saying they're going to go towards something like GDPR or something like that? I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's not much meat here to work with, but it's a weird contradictory statement. I feel like just
Yeah.
if you're reading into it.
If I read it, it honestly sounds like the type of promise you make at a school student body election. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I'm going to put Kool-Aid in the water fountains or something like that. Like it does feel like there's this very contradictory stuff, and how do you pull all that off?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like I will say, I mean, I agree with the general sentiment of like, cyber defense should not be reduced to a costly checklist of delays
Yeah.
or whatever, right? Like, I agree. I think one of my concerns about a lot of either government or just general regulations and stuff is that they oftentimes are just implementing a costly checklist. They're not actually making good security.
Yeah.
Everybody
Agreed.
knows that when you put a checklist in front of them that they don't have the money or time for, they will find ways to loophole. Yeah, I mean, technically I did that. Technically we've done this. Where can we round that off here and there? And so I am all for revision to those processes, streamlining certain things and making it so that we're actually focused on security in different ways and doing something that matters. But what concerns me is that oftentimes government or any other regulating bodies will just implement this thing and then they'll wipe it out. And it's like, we didn't do anything for security. We literally just cost some people some money and then we moved on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I agree with all that. It's I don't know what it means. I'm with you guys. Like I think that to me it is foreshadowing they're going to cut something, and we've already seen some some cuts, right? CC's gotten gutted. We saw like the FTC, like safeguards pulled back, specifically focused on telcos, pulled back. And so is this another foreshadowing statement that they're going to pull more back? And my mind automatically went to like CMMC, right? Are we going to see changes to CMMC? And, I hope that we keep, is CMMC perfect? No. But is it better than what we had? Yeah, it is. And I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of companies now, and I realize that there's a lot of these companies that are falling under that, regulatory compliance that we weren't doing anything before. We were doing nothing, right? It was an afterthought. So at least they're thinking about things. At least they're working toward a goal. Now, is it a perfect goal? No. But is it better than previous state? Yes, absolutely. And so that's kind of my fear. If we're going to pull that back, what does that mean? Like all those companies who are finally like, they're forced to put information security in the forefront of their decisions. They're really being forced to do that right now. And say, hey, don't worry about it anymore. What do? They'll revert back to doing nothing because they don't have to anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly a concern there. I mean, it's tough. Because I kind of like you both were saying there, it's like it makes sense to when you have those checklists, right? You have I mean, I'm sure we've probably all been part of audits and things like that in the past. I definitely know I've been a part of some government audits that were very much let's just check the box on this thing and call it
Oh, yeah.
good. And I mean, that's common, right? We just want to make sure we're
Mhm.
hitting the thing. And kind of like Eric was saying there too, it's like, well, they may drop in some things that cost people a bunch of money and then pull it back later on. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's compliance isn't security, right? We say that all the time,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
so I'm hoping it's a move towards security instead of compliance, but we're gonna have to see. It's very unclear.
It's tough. And we all agree, right? Nobody
Yeah,
disagrees with that statement. Like compliance is not security
yeah,
for sure. Um, but how do you force these businesses who just don't care? Like
yeah,
compliance is the tool to force businesses to do something. Now, the execution, like you said, the mindset is still wrong. The mindset is usually we're doing this because we have to, not because we care. We're doing this to check the box. And the reality is like the ideal state is in between there, right? It's somewhere in
yeah.
between. And I don't know how we can force an ideal state. Like that's the challenge, right?
That is the challenge. I think that I do think though that sometimes when we have these, the more detailed the requirement, the more forced a certain set of details are, the like less security ends up getting implemented because it's just like, okay, how do we check exactly those boxes? So it does need change for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I uh I mean, I think a lot about like right now we talk about this aside from this thing, right? We talk about how AI pen testing, automated pen testing is making a big push right now, right? Like we lose deals all the time about because of it, right? Because people want that cheaper option that everybody's telling everybody too that AI is insane right now. AI can do all of it, right? And the reality
Mm-hmm.
is the automated pen testing that exists out there barely even uses AI, or if it uses it at all, right? But it is
Mm-hmm.
advertised as using it and doing all this great thing, and it's not because it is literally just like a bunch of if then saying do this or if this happens or that happens, and it's not nearly the same. But because they've just kind of created this atmosphere around it, it's like we can use that for all of our compliance requirements, right? For a pen test, we can do this thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, sure, I guess, is an AI a person, and is there AI being used in it? And so they'll build and find the cheapest, easiest, most automated way around everything, and then they end up with worse security at the end. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then they might have gone on just spending their money the way they wanted on security. But I agree, there's
Yeah.
plenty of people who don't do anything too, and they need to be forced to. So it's
Mm-hmm.
blurry.
Why can't everybody just care, man? At the end of the day,
Yeah,
why can't you just
yeah,
care?
Yeah,
Care about your employees, care about your clients, care about your families, your employees' families. To me, it's that simple. And this is part of that. If you really care about them, you should be protecting.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and April brings up a good point too. I'm curious if this is going to have any impact on the HIPAA security rule. It's being reviewed right now, so we shall see. More to come. We'll revisit this again down the road. But Eric, you just hit on a topic, man. We got to roll right into. I had it a little bit down on my list, but Kevin Mandia It was a big announcement yesterday. You guys heard about that? I know you did because I shared the article with you, but I don't know if everybody else did. Yeah, so Kevin Mandia is back at it again. He's launching a new venture called Armadin. I believe that's how you pronounce that, Armadin. Got 190 million bucks in funding, and essentially he's building an AI pen testing firm, right? But he is stating that his AI pen tests is going to have the capabilities of a full nation state APT, and it's going to be 100% autonomous. I read that and I said, bullshit. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm
Yeah.
not looking at the source code or behind in the closed door meetings, but I know what I know is possible these days and where things are at, and bullshit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to the red team side of it, but I know I've seen some attempts on the blue team side recently, of just like, hey, let's throw all the artifacts in here and see what this comes up with, and it's been very wrong. And so, just latching onto things that it doesn't need to latch onto, and this account was associated with this part of the attack. It's not at all. So I can't even imagine what that's going to do on the red team side of things. Is just like trying to make those decisions and figure out which path to take and things like that. Yeah, I've
It,
not been impressed so far. So
I want to be clear too. Like, I think that AI or LLMs, to properly call it, right? I think that they are quite capable in doing some pretty wild things. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I'm impressed a decent amount by it. I'm also disappointed a decent amount by it, right? But at the end of the day, whether like even if the AI, the different LLM tools and stuff like that, and split out in certain ways, can accomplish certain tasks and figure things out as good as or better than a human tester, let's say, in this circumstance, the issue becomes tracking all of the data, context, window size, like how you manage all of that data and use it to play off of each other without accidentally poisoning its own context window and making it completely not realize what the heck it's doing anymore, right? Or not having the capabilities to tie different events together. And so we see this there's a decent amount of products out there. I'm not going to name names or whatever, but that they're claiming they're using AI for pen testing, for automated pen testing, for things like that. Most of the time they're not. Most of the automated pen tests are not that advertising AI are not using AI hardly at all. And they're really just doing the same thing we've had around for years that wasn't good enough before. They've added AI in, and they have added it in a few key points to help certain types of decision making that you generally need a human for, right? Like business analysis, business function, right? Like the type of thing is like, what is this person, what is their role? What kind of data do they need access to? What kind of data is this? Should they have access to that? If then statements can't generally figure that out. AI is a lot better at figuring things out like that, but it still gets really blurry really fast. One of the things I'll call out, and this line cracked me up when I was reading this, is just like our platform applies a fleet of specialized AI models that continuously reason, plan, and adapt like elite human adversaries. They don't just look for theoretical vulnerabilities; they pursue real kill chains across the entire attack surface. Yada yada, right? Like the more your fleet of specialized AI is developing fleets and fleets of data as it's scanning, as it's doing things, right? The average context window on an LLM right now it's getting quite large, but it's still like the amount of data you might generate just looking at a single host is millions of tokens potentially, right? If you're looking at a collection of someone's network that has thousands of hosts in it or something like that, or many different endpoints, many different services and usernames and all this stuff that you might be trying to attack on, you're generating so much beyond what a context window can handle and tie together. So there has to be multiple processes in place that distill that data down and then store it somewhere and then reference it at the right time, which means you need to have other AI agents that are then taking the original request, going out and figuring out what type of data it needs, where to find that data, pull that data back in. It starts to become a data headache. And that is our biggest wall right now on this type of thing. So I don't think this is possible as it currently stands. Not with $190 million. Is that what you said? 190 million?
190. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not with that.
Yeah. Thanks for explaining that, man. You do a great job always of talking through that. But yeah, I completely agree with you. And on top of that, man, it's like we have the context problem, the data problem, like all those issues too. Like, what about the power problem, right? Like the power, the consumption of electricity it would take if this became a widely adopted technology is insane. I was reading an article this morning that talked about how creating a 5-second video in AI right now is the equivalent to running your microwave on high for 1 hour. Now think about that. That's creating a 5-second video. What if we were creating a true nation state AI driven APT? Like it's insane to think that we even have the capacity to be able to build a data center to support this and then have the power to power that data center on top of it. And then we're going to start seeing stuff like I know it's a big conflict where I'm at right now where they're trying to bring in a big data center, wide host AI technology. Why is that a problem? Because we all need the electricity, right? And what's it going to do for me? And I've already seen it. Like my electricity rates have almost doubled in the last year. And it's because of more AI focused data centers popping up in our region right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And RAM. I need
I
some
was about to
RAM
say,
right now.
I almost made the
can't.
joke before. 190 million, you could buy like 128 gigs of RAM. You know what I mean?
I
Like
know, right? Yeah. Yeah.
gone at that point.
Yep.
I do want to point out that I do think AIs and LLMs are getting there. I do think that the concept, this is an over-aggrandized concept right here, right? Like that is in this article, but getting close to that concept, getting close to what we think we already have. So many people think that these services have right now and they don't have. I think getting close to it is possible. I think it's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to cost a lot of take a lot of developers. It's going to have to handle a lot of data management schemes and data referencing and stuff like that. And once they get that all figured out, I guarantee people are working on it right now to figure it out and make it better. We are going to see some really cool stuff and some stuff that will scare me about my own job type of thing, right? But like we're just saying you're going to do something that grand with 190 million, like I know 190 million, that's a lot. Like if I want to go house and car shopping tomorrow, but it's not that much when you're talking about building something like this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do try to I always try to view these and be careful with how I'm viewing them, right? Because natural human instinct is to, oh, is this thing threatening my job? It's crap. It doesn't work right. Like I try to take that out of it and just look at it objectively of like, is this doing a good job?
Yeah.
And kind of like Eric's saying, like I'm sure we can get there. I mean, I'm sure it's possible eventually with enough resources and all that kind of stuff, but it's not there yet. And this is a pretty ambitious statement he's made here. And so I'm also mildly bothered by the name. I don't know if you guys caught that, but it's jumbled up Mandia, but he added an R. And it kind of bugs me. Like either do it or don't, right? Don't just add an extra letter in there.
That's funny. Well, Mandiant was similar, right? So,
Yeah.
but I do want to say, I think to all our points, I think we all agree, like the tools that are there today do have a place, right? They're not, I think, what a lot of people are advertising, to Eric's point. People think they are fully AI driven. They're not. I think there is an opportunity to use those tools and have, success and positive outcomes from them in your environment. But I think we're still at the point today where it's not a replacement for a human. It's not a replacement for a human. It's not as good as a human driven test. And we're still a little bit away from that.
I think we need to be careful about what we're adding to the conversation. I mean, like us, obviously here on a platform talking about in front of people, but how everybody in the society is talking about these tools and these things and how it exists. I think a lot of people are spreading accidentally misinformation about the power of things or what things do, and then it becomes gospel. I was literally surprised yesterday when talking to one of our team members about an AI pen testing tool, that he was talking to me about his use of it and the situation. He was like, yeah, it doesn't seem to actually be using AI anywhere from what I can see. And I started digging into that a little bit more, being like, wait, no, that can't be true. I'm like, I get it, but that can't be true. And then started digging through their own marketing materials, and they barely talk about AI anywhere. You know what I mean? And it's just like, oh, it's everybody else that's saying that this uses AI.
Yeah,
it's really not them. You know what I mean? Like everybody believes that this is a hugely AI based tool, and they're not actually claiming that at all. They're claiming they use it in a very particular area. And so what have we done as an industry and a society where we're just being like, yeah, that thing's the next best AI pen tester. And it's like, they're just like, yeah, cool. Keep thinking that. We don't use that much AI.
That is pretty hilarious, man. And yeah, you're right. I've noticed that people think automation, right? It's automated. Yeah. Oh, it's AI then. No, it's not. And look, there's been tools around, like to your point, for years, right? Years.
Oh yeah.
And suddenly it's the hot shit because people think it's AI.
Yeah.
Man, we're dumb, right?
I can't speak for everybody else. I can definitely speak for me. And yes, I am dumb.
All right, so I'm gonna roll into another topic. Did not share this to you guys. I'm sorry, but I thought we'd have a conversation about it. It's
Surprise
the catch
topic,
of the
all right.
week. It's a surprise topic. Catch of the week. This is actually a sad one, man. There was a report published recently that found 1 in 2 United States school districts experienced a cybersecurity incident in 2025. So 52% exactly of all U.S. K through 12 schools experienced a cybersecurity incident last year. Significant increase. The year before was 36%, and the year before was 31%. So it's kind of an indication that cybersecurity incidents for our K through 12 schools are becoming pretty a routine operational risks. This sucks. And it goes back to kind of what I was talking about with, our co-ops, our municipalities, and all those things. I think it's a similar landscape for them, right? They probably don't have the funding needed. They don't have the expertise needed. So what do you guys think about this? Where do we go from here? How can we impact this positively?
I mean, the first thing it doesn't necessarily answer the question you just asked, but the first thing that comes to mind when you talk about that stat is I would love to see a breakout of stats that says how much of it is internal versus external.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? The reality is a lot of schools, especially, face a lot of internal based cyber attacks, right? Students, kids learning, curious, don't understand rules yet,
Hmm.
don't understand why you should respect them. I was one of those kids. My school's
Hmm.
always received many, many cyber attacks when I was young. You know what I mean? Like you learn, but whatever. So I'm curious about how much of it is that and what we were kind of classifying as a cybersecurity event. But outside of that, I think that it is it is difficult for the same reasons though, is because there are so many people, there are so many students, there's so many internals weaknesses, if you will, right? In the
Hmm.
security, that it can be very, very difficult. We, as pen testers, I can say, when we approach a school district or a school, college or K through 12, doesn't matter. It's often easier in a lot of ways, but also more difficult because we're trying to be responsible about what we're doing. But when there's so many student accounts and so many different varied accounts throughout, like that you could potentially try to access and compromise throughout um, a perimeter like that, it becomes a lot easier to find something that's going to be a hole. And it's a little harder on pen testing because we have to try to figure out whether or not they're staff or student and not mess with any student accounts. But
Hmm.
it does create a lot of holes, a lot of Swiss cheese on the outside perimeter,
Oh yeah,
unfortunately.
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, we definitely have seen. I mean, I hadn't really thought about it until you presented this, so I was kind of lost in thought there for a minute. We've definitely seen more reach outs from schools over
Hmm.
probably the last year. So that kind of tracks. I will say we do see a lot of it more on the student side of things as well too, right? Students with email accounts, they get phished, things like that. But that's still an issue, right? Because if
Hmm.
I've got if I'm a teacher, I've got a student in my class that's been phished, the student sends me something, I'm gonna inherently want to trust that and open it and check it out. Um, so it is a concern there. Um, it is tough. I did see here, Brian in the chat mentions training the teachers. I would really agree with that. Just, got a lot of family and education. Got one of my best friends growing up. He's a high school teacher now, and just kind of, he's pretty sharp on the technical side of things. But even him, like sometimes I'll be talking to him about something. He's like, "Holy crap!" Like that's not even, in his mind. So I do think some better training on the teacher side of that there would be huge, and just general staff as well.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's tough. That was the other thing I was kind of thinking what Eric was saying there is like, yeah, we didn't have the technical staff when I was in high school to handle things, so they had myself and another buddy, like we ran the
Hmm.
Exchange server, and we didn't do anything nefarious with any of the access we were given. Like we were good kids. We certainly did not do that, even if the statute of limitations has probably ran out at this point. But yeah, there's a lot of tough spots in that environment. So
Hmm.
Yeah. And I think that the one thing I've spoken to a lot of our contacts at schools that we've worked with over the years, and I will say there's one trend amongst every single time I've talked to a contact at a school or a school district, K through 12, it is that it's like them and one other person handling the
Hmm.
entire the entire
Yeah.
district or something like that. It is,
Yeah.
they are severely understaffed in cybersecurity across the board, it seems like.
Hmm.
And oftentimes that person I'm talking to is, it's not like their role is specifically cybersecurity. It's just general, wear all the IT hats. They've got two or
Yeah.
three people wearing all the IT hats. They don't know that much about security because they have to know so much about other things and understanding their infrastructure and making sure it continues running, that they are fighting a losing battle. I have legitimately, and I couldn't even tell you who it was, nor would I tell you who it was, but I've legitimately, on two different occasions while talking to people, contacts at schools, and several years ago, had them start breaking down and crying on the call when talking about the difficulties they were facing and how they didn't have
Hmm.
the support they needed. So what can we do to affect things in a meaningful way? I mean, fund these things, like
Yeah.
get the ability to allow these people to have some staff who are dedicated to doing these things and are not just responding to a, you know,
Yeah. Fighting
uh,
fires.
yeah, yep,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I think it all comes down to funding. I do think, education and training is good to help, like making sure that, your teachers and your staff, like they are aware. I mean, like to the point in the chat, like they trust email too much. Like, are they even having focused security training? Like on here's how to identify a phishing email. We're doing phishing tests. I'm sure they're not, right? Do they even have an instant response plan? I'm sure most of them don't at this point, and it's like, hey, if there's teachers listening, or if your parents listening and you're concerned about your kids and their school district, like go get our instant plan off of the website. It's free. It's pretty good. Go give that to whoever that person Eric's talking about, who's the one guy who wears all the hats for the entire
Yeah.
district, and say, hey, maybe this will help you. And maybe that can help. I mean, but you're right. It all comes down to funding, man. They just need to be funded to be able to
yeah. Well,
have any sort of success.
the difficult thing, I mean, I don't know what it's like across the entire nation, right? I have kids that are in schools. I know what the funding looks like because I look into that and we pay attention to that in our
Hmm.
local schools and stuff like that, and where we've lived over the last several many years. And they're always drastically underfunded. And I'll tell you right now, whenever they come out with their proposals for more funds and what they're going to do with those funds, cybersecurity is not on it,
Never
because
there. Yeah.
and that's the difficult thing too, is like even funding the schools more to some level is like, that doesn't necessarily fix the problem. Like
Hmm.
because it's so lacking funds. A lot of these schools are, a lot of these school districts.
Hmm.
We
It's
need.
kind of funny though. Like every damn high school now, well, in Kentucky, yeah, it's not the same in Montana, but I can say in Kentucky, they all had a AstroTurf football field. And I just bring that up because those are expensive. That's not a cheap endeavor, but you still got, poor Bill who's like working 10 schools in the district and doing all, everything. They can't afford to give Bill any help, but they can buy
Yeah.
that damn AstroTurf football field.
Are they able to have sponsorships or stuff like that? Are those fields sponsored or anything like that by local
No,
people who care
no.
about football a lot? No, that's just from the school budget. Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume there was some kind of sponsorship because you see all those ads around the fields a lot of times. But I mean, maybe it's probably not much. If it
Yeah.
is, it can't be
I mean,
more
I
than
know like the gym, for example, like at my high school, and this was, they built that gym in 2020 and it was through school budget. And they spent like, which at the time, like this, like $2.5 million on a gym, a basketball gym for a tiny school in Eastern Kentucky. And I remember, being a kid and be like, what? $2.5 million, on a basketball gym? That's insane. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's some maybe conflicting priorities of how those budgets are allocated.
I mean, they could have
yeah.
almost built a nation state AI actor, dude.
Yeah, a couple more gems. I, we, we've got dual Brian's in the chat talking about
Hmm.
what the district's allowed to train and how much due to like union restrictions. So that's an interesting thing I hadn't really thought about there, and kind of an odd one because as we were talking about this, I was having the thought of like, is there something we can do, right? Can we make even some sort of video
Yeah,
based
free
training so
training
that
or
so
something,
that we give away,
Yeah.
right? But if there are restrictions on that, that certainly hampers that. I'd love to know the reasoning behind like a teachers union
Hmm.
blocking security training like that. I well, I don't know. That doesn't seem like that
Is
would
it
make
just
any kind of
because
sense at all.
they got the union? They say we don't want to do it, and it goes back to what I was talking about before because they don't care. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but that's a really interesting statement. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I'm very concerned about that. But yeah, because I feel like we could do something, right? I mean, I know, like we're saying, training's
Hmm.
not the end all be all, but it's something. Kind of like we talked about with CMMC, it's not perfect, but
Yeah.
it's something. So yeah, hmm. we have to, we have to chew on that one a little bit. That's
All
some
right, we'll
thoughts.
revisit. Yeah, we'll come back
Yeah.
around. All right, we got one more phishing report real quick. Some new phishing tactics where hackers are using .arpa addresses, DNS entries, and IPv6 to evade phishing defenses. I want to spend a little more time understanding this because this seems super crafty and super clever. ARPA addresses are typically learned for reverse DNS, and so from what I understand here, attackers are able to they're getting some IPv6 space. Using that as a tunnel block, registering registering the reverse DNS as a domain, then configuring that tunnel through like Cloudflare services, right? Because Cloudflare usually is okay and good when it's going through email filtering, creating some certs around it, configuring a domain to resolve to a hidden host, and then generating random, unique, fully qualified domain names that utilize ARPA in the address scheme as well, and sending phishing emails. And I guess that's pretty damn clever because ARPA, Cloudflare, .ARPA is never inspected, right? And Cloudflare, and I think they were using another hosting service. I don't remember. I know Cloudflare was the one mentioned here, are typically trusted. So I read this. I wanted to spend some more time understanding this, but holy shit, it's pretty clever.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised it's just now being abused again. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I read it and it was just like, okay, I need to dig into it a little bit more too, to be honest, like from the technical point of where certain things are happening, but and what it actually means, to be honest with you. But yeah, I agree. It's one of those things, man. Like I think people are, I mean, one, IPv6, I swear, it's been around forever now, and like everybody acts like it never existed. And honestly, even on the security side of things, even on the attacker side of things, there's very few people who are wanting to mess with it. And I think that's why some of these things just kind of stay like unknown or hidden for quite a while. It's just like it's that, you know, aunt at the family party that you really just don't want to have a conversation with. You know what I mean? Like, like you don't know, maybe her life's going great right now, but you just like last time you talked to her wasn't great, and you just don't feel like getting into it, right? So I feel like that's kind of why that's the answer to that question about like how's this not come up before? It's like because nobody wanted to talk to her.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about your aunt. I'll call
Yeah,
her.
dude. Yeah, my bad.
Not my aunt. I was just coming up with something, man. I love my aunt.
Just very specific, bud. Very specific.
Everybody's got it. I was just,
no, that's why we're all laughing so hard. It's because we know exactly what you're talking about.
I was changing names for the purpose of the story. If I had said I didn't want to say the real relationship, then you'd be like, "What the heck?"
Yeah. No, I've got that aunt. I do.
She wears cheap perfume. That's why. That's true. That is true. You got it nailed there, Katie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good analysis of why we haven't seen it yet.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Because I had similar thoughts as I was reading through this. I was like, freaking IPv6. I was like, there's always something with IPv6. It just pisses everybody off.
I can remember back in the day when IPv6 was coming. You remember this, Pink? We were both at the same place, and it's like, oh, get ready. We're going to be out of IPv4 addresses in a week, and everybody's going to have to go to this.
That was 20 years ago. 20. I mean, maybe like 18, but it was right at 20 years ago. Yeah, it was coming in a week. I remember. I was like, oh no! I remember learning IPv6 subnetting, which I've promptly forgot since then.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know. It is a neat attack. It's like it's kind of a cool thing to think through. It's not really the same, but it reminded me of like some of the weird DNS things we saw with C2s, where they would have like a random string of characters dot. Actually, the one we saw was like Skypenet.net or something like that. And so because your local DNS can't resolve it, it goes out and eventually finds the server that can, or it keeps going towards servers until it delivers its packet. But yeah, this is neat. I mean, this certainly would work, probably really well. I mean, to me, it just highlighted the point of we really can't rely on technological fixes for,
yeah, it's still a human problem, man. That's phishing, a great point. Right?
Yeah, it's sure, turn them all on, but that can't be your only defense.
Yeah, that was going to be my kind of takeaway after this one, though. At the end of the day, it's like this seems neat. may be clever. I don't know. I'm still not convinced it is clever. I think it is. But at the same time, it's like at the end of the day, it's a weird looking URL. Stop clicking them, man. Like I don't ever
Yeah.
depend on the technology to stop. Like, if the link got through, it must be good. Which I don't, to be fair, I don't think anyone listening to this thinks that, right? Like I
Right.
think
Yeah.
we're good on that. Like just because the link made it through doesn't mean you're okay.
Don't worry, you didn't actually win the Gordon Ramsay Le Creuset set. You
What?
didn't. Your Norton, your Norton didn't expire.
Dang, man.
That was one of the screenshots, which is hilarious. How long has that Norton fish been around? Oh my gosh! Like I
Forever
think it
today.
was around before I was born, man. I think Norton was some
Yeah.
out here before I was born, and that scam was here. 45
I don't
years
know though,
ago.
man. That Bath and Body Works gift card. Might be tempted. I saw they got some new Peeps scented stuff right now. So you might want that gift card. Get you a little bit of smell like a tea.
Better than
Easter is
floral
right around the
flavored
corner.
Peeps. I'll take that. Yeah. Okay.
Does it smell like Eric's aunt's cheap
Smells like
perfume?
Eric's.
Careful. All right.
One day we're gonna meet Eric's aunt.
If I
and
have
I'm
a
gonna feel
single family
awful.
member who might find this and listen to it, it is my aunt. Let's
Yeah.
be careful.
Your
all
aunt
right?
is a saint, all right?
She is
I'm
a
sure.
saint.
Yeah,
She's
I'm
my
certain.
second mother, and she's a beautiful woman. Out there, anyway.
How dare you?
All right, everybody. I think that's a wrap. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see y'all next month. Happy March Madness.